Hi, I'm Mercy Jessidas, one of the high school counselors. Thank you for joining us today. This is a pre-recorded Q&A with 5 of our current high school students. The purpose of this Q&A is to shed some light on what life will look like in high school. We will cover topics like getting involved in high school clubs and activities, finding a balance, managing your time, and developing good study skills. Our panelists are here to provide insight into the transition to high school, drawing from their own experiences. Without further ado, please meet our panelists. I'd like you guys to state your name, your grade, how long you've been at ASD, what activities you were involved in, and what did you enjoy about your first year in high school. We'll start with Alia.
Hi, my name is Alia, and I'm currently a freshman, and I've been here since grade 6. So far, I've really enjoyed high school, and I've loved being part of clubs and the dance team and MUN. And my favorite thing so far has been all the diversity in the classes that you get to take.
Hi, my name is Samir, and I've been at ASC since first grade, and I'm in ninth grade right now. Some activities I participated in this year include wrestling, Little Wings, SENA, NJHS, and MUN. And the thing I've enjoyed most about high school is having the freedom of choice and expression you get for subjects you're interested in.
Hi, my name is Arav. I've been at ASD since grade 7, and I'm currently a freshman. I've mostly been involved with the arts at ASD, whether it be choir, AMI, the musical, the 10-minute plays, and stuff like that. And the thing I've enjoyed most about high school so far is the amount of choice you have, whether it be the classes you're taking, the extracurriculars you have, and just things like that.
Hi, I'm Sachi. I've been in ASC since K1 and I'm currently in grade 9. So far this year, some activities I've participated in have been MUN, and clubs I've been in have been the Science Club, Little Wings, and SENA. And as Rob said, I really like the choice in extracurricular activities and all the service clubs.
Hi, I'm Amina. I'm a freshman, and this is my 11th year at ASC. I've been here since K1, and this year I've been involved in MUN, 10-minute plays, debate and forensics, Tri-M, and High Tide. And the thing I love most about ASC is all the choice and diversity we have, and just really getting to connect with everyone in the high school, whether it be freshmen, sophomore, juniors, or seniors.
Cool. So we have quite a few questions from our current 8th graders. And one of the questions that comes up a lot is, what does day-to-day in the high school look like? Is it similar to middle school? How different is high school from 8:15 to 3:15?
Okay, so we basically have the same length classes as they were in middle school, so they are 75 minutes each, and we have a little bit of extra passing time, so it goes from 5 minutes to 7 minutes. I would say that the main differences are our 30-minute breaks and our long lunch, also known as WIN time. So basically, WIN stands for what I need, and we'll elaborate more on it later, but you can basically take that. Our lunchtime is split into 2 parts. It starts at 12:37 and it ends at 2 o'clock. And it's split into 2, so you can take you can take all of that time to do whatever you need. So you can study, get extra help from teachers, work out, do sports, catch up on whatever you need to do. And yeah, or you can just take a full lunch, and that's really up to you. So there's a lot of like independence. Yeah, so I agree with Amina. The main difference is definitely the WIN time, because you can use it to go to clubs, or basically the things that Amina said as well. Another difference is the independence that you have within your classes as well. So I found in middle school, more of my classes were structured around like fully teaching, and then you have the homework at home. But in high school, I found it to be, you get a decent amount of split time. So at the beginning, you get to cover the concepts you'll be reviewing for the class, and towards the second half of the class or towards the end, you get more time to work as well.
So what is this 30-minute morning break? I don't believe it's something students have in the middle school. What are you allowed to do during this time? how do high schoolers and teachers recommend you use this time productively, and how do you recommend you use WIN productively?
There's much more recreational time given to students in high school, and there's a lot of ways you can use this time, including attending organized WIN sessions with teachers. And those sessions are often posted on the high school bulletin, which is also a really useful resource for freshmen to look at what's happening in high school. And as Amina mentioned, WIN stands for What I Need. So these organized sessions are like for specific classes. So there'll be like a bio WIN time that's directed by Miss Mitchell, and she'll just give you help for whatever you're covering in the course. You can use the time by relaxing and enjoying time with friends, and this is often needed in freshman year because it is a very stressful time, but it's also fun. You can also ask teachers for personal help, like beforehand, you could plan like personal tutoring sessions with your math teacher, and they often say yes, so they can help you one-on-one. And you can also ask students for help from like organizations like Mu Alpha Theta if you ask them beforehand, and they will help you. And the library is also a really good resource as you've been using it in middle school to just get your work done as a group. And yeah, and I'd say that like in terms of scheduling, like Sundays we have advisory, and if I remember correctly, Mondays and Tuesdays we have WIN, and then Wednesday we have advisory again or some kind of assembly, and then Thursday we have lunch and WIN. So it just depends on the day of the week.
Yeah. Also, for the morning break, it's super helpful, especially if you haven't gotten a good breakfast or a good night's sleep, to just like catch up, eat some food, sit with your friends. It's a super great way. Also, really helpful to do some extra revision if you have a test early on in the day. Obviously, study beforehand, but it is there and it's super helpful. As for lunch, same with agreeing with everything that Samir said. Like personally, I'd spend the first half eating and relaxing, regaining my energy, and then go to the library to study. It's super helpful to do my homework at that time because I have my friends' help, I have my teachers' help, and there's so much that you can do. It really helps the free time off your schedule when you get home. And it's super encouraged, like Samir said, to meet with your teachers. And there also are some WIN sessions that are just more fun and relaxed, like ping pong.
Great. So one of the things that you guys brought up is advisory, and a question that comes up is how different is advisory in the high school compared to middle school? And how does advisory work? Do you stay with the same group and teacher for all 4 years? And what is the house system like in the high school?
So in high school, the basic concept of advisory is pretty similar to what it is in middle school. You're given, like your advisory teacher is given activities for the day that you need to complete, but it's really collaborative. So it's a really great way to meet some new people if you don't really know the people in your advisory that well. There are different activities that start off the beginning of the year, like what you feel your advisory should be. So how comfortable would you be and what would make that space comfortable? And then towards the middle of the year, you get to talk about how you can relieve stress if there's a lot of assignments coming up in one period. So it's a great way, one, to learn more about high school because your advisory teacher is a great resource for that. And it's another great way to just collaborate with students on some helpful and informational and just some fun stuff as well.
Yeah, a significant difference is that we don't have advisory in the mornings in high school. As stated earlier, we just have it on Sundays and sometimes on Wednesday, depending on if we have an assembly or not. And also we have a house system where we have like the Merlin house and things like that. And the house system is also sorted out by who your counselor is. And also something cool about advisory in high school is that there's an advisory rep which you can run for. And you have the same advisor for the full 4 years. So you continue on with the same group for 4 years.
It is very clear that the structure in the high school is very different. There's something in middle school called pursuits, which we do not have in high school, and that's a question that comes up all the time. I'm not entirely familiar with what pursuits is, but what is the similar comparison? What's the similar thing in high school? And I think it has something to do with activities. So how do students in high school get involved in clubs and opportunities?
So we do have most clubs do have a weekly meeting during one win session. And it's super helpful to learn what's going on in the clubs. Another great place to look for all these opportunities is the high school bulletin. They will have everything that's going on in the week, as well as any major events going on in the year. Like the Cena Jumble Sale is usually on there for a decent amount of time. Also, usually service will take place after school, but there are some great in-school opportunities, like during the Cena Jumble Sale, which if you haven't already been a part of, it's super fun to join next year. And there is a club fair in the beginning of the year, and during this club fair, you'll get to see all the different clubs, sign up for the ones that you're interested in, and then you'll continue to get emails from them. And don't sleep on all these fun activities, because they're really great to do with your friends or to do with new people that are interested in the same thing as you.
So the biggest difference between pursuits and win sessions is for pursuits, you have to sign up beforehand and there's a limited amount of slots. But for win, it's not like that. So it's really great, for example, if you're struggling in math and it's just one unit and you need some extra help, instead of scheduling yourself for a set amount of pursuit sessions, which you would do in middle school, you can just drop in for one win time. The only time you need to make an appointment is if you want to have like a private meeting with your teacher, or if a win session is not already offered, because on the high school bulletin, there's a link for each day and which wins are being offered. So not every day there'll be a math win offered. So if it's not offered, then you'll have to make an appointment. But otherwise, it's really cool. You can drop in for 5 minutes or the entire session, depending on what you need. So it's really open and it's not as strict as the pursuits in middle school.
How do students then get involved in all these activities? What's the first time that they can find out about all these clubs, honor societies, and even the sports and athletic opportunities?
So we have three main honor societies in high school, which are Tri-M, Mu Alpha Theta, and Thespians. So Tri-M focuses on music, Mu Alpha Theta is math focused, and Thespians is for the arts and acting. So for each honor society, there are a set number of requirements that you need to fulfill by the first semester to get inducted. So I'm going to just talk about Tri-M because it's the one that I'm in right now. So for Tri-M, there are 3 concert attendance requirements, 3 tutoring hours, and 15 points. So you can get points from doing things around the school, music related, like tutoring, ushering, informants videos, just things like that to get involved in the arts. And a lot of the other honor societies are also point-based. And as for clubs, as Alia mentioned before, there's a club fair at the beginning of the year, and that's so useful. And what I would do is I would go and sign up for all the ones that I find interesting, so that I'm getting all the emails and stuff for upcoming events, and then I can decide which clubs that I want to actually commit to later. So that's really helpful. The club fair is usually in the first few months of school, so I'd really recommend going to that and getting involved that day.
Yeah, and with those 3, there's one more, the National Honor Society.
Oh yeah, that's the main one. Yeah.
And I think, Samir, you wanted to add to it too, right?
To add on to what Amina was saying, as well as the club she mentioned, there is NHS and NJHS, so National Honor Society and National Junior Honor Society. And for most NJHS members coming from 8th grade, they continue their work up to 9th grade. So they maintain their 3.5 GPA. They maintain getting 20 hours of service per the year. So NJHS stops at freshman year, and NHS, I think, carries on depending on if you're invited with a GPA of 3.75, I believe, and above. So it is pretty similar to middle school in terms of being invited to one of these clubs. You just have to follow the criteria. And for the other clubs, as Alia and Amina mentioned, there is a showcase event to get into them. And I think like everyone should participate in this event, because like it really it kind of gives you an insight to what your high school life will be like, because all these clubs are a very integral part of the community. So I think that you should put your name down on a club that interests you, so that you keep getting emails from them, because you are allowed to attend any meeting you want, even if you're not on the email list. But the email list really helps you because you get reminders as to when the meetings are.
There are definitely a lot of opportunities in the high school, from clubs to sports to honor societies and other things that you can get involved in. And you guys are clearly involved in a lot of things and have taken advantage of a lot of opportunities this year. How do you find time for the extracurricular activities while having to keep up with your schoolwork?
So I would say that it's different for everyone for sure, but a lot of clubs meet during wind time, so that allows you to like not have to take out time outside of school, so you can just meet during school. It's very convenient, and it's honestly just different for everyone depending on what classes you are taking and what extracurriculars that you're participating in. So I would just say to find a schedule that works for you and stick to it, because everyone's workload is different. So I can't really tell you one thing that will work for everyone, but just find a schedule and find your own groove kind of, and just what will work for you. And I would say that study block is, it's definitely helpful, but it's not necessary, and you can totally do without it. So if you think that you need a study block because you won't be able to handle it, I would say that you can try without it. And I didn't have a study block this year, and I managed without it, but it's really different for everyone.
Yeah, so adding on to what Amina said, yeah, it's super important to balance your school life and your academic life as well as your social life. That is equally as important, in my opinion. But definitely maintaining a schedule is a super important part. So maybe setting aside a certain hour when you get home from school or a certain day of the weekend. Like for me, Saturdays was like an intense study day. But to free time off your schedule, do use those long lunches to your advantage. Those are there to help you for a reason. That's why they cleared up all this free time. You can ask your friends for help, your teachers for help to clear up confusion. Also, as you guys probably already know, utilize your class time. Your teachers are super nice to you for giving you all that like in time, like class time to ask them questions and do your work so that you don't have too much to do when you're at home. And don't put too much on your plate. I feel like there are so many great opportunities in freshman year, but don't overdo it. You have a fun like 4 years to do it, so just take your time.
Thank you. I'm curious for, to get an understanding of what are some concrete strategies that you guys have used. Let's say if you're involved in a club or an activity that is spread out over the whole year, like MUN or SGA, what are some concrete strategies you guys have used to help you manage the activity and schoolwork? And what would you recommend to students?
I think the first thing any student should do before joining a club or a sport is determining if the sport or the club is a right fit for you and your management of stress. And also I think you need to identify the motive for why you're joining this club or sport. If it's solely for the purpose of college or for the purpose of being a part of the community for future purposes, I think you should reevaluate joining a club, because I think you should only join a club if you truly have a passion for it, and also joining a sport team if you truly have a passion for it. And if you do that, I don't think you'll have much trouble managing your schoolwork, because you realize that they're both important. So, and I also think that and I've seen studies about this, that people who participate in clubs and sports often have higher marks because they're better at managing their time. So I think just having a structured schedule each day, saying, okay, this is when I have practice, wrestling practice from this time to this time. After that, I have dinner. This time to this time, I do work. So I just think creating a schedule for yourself that works and finding a schedule for you that works is the best way to manage your time and your work.
Yeah, 100% what Samir said. Don't just join a club because you think it'll make your college applications look good. My brother is in university, and something he always told me was colleges would rather see that you have a passion for something and are continuing to build on that than to see that you are in 25 different clubs and you're not making any significant difference with them. And I'm an SGA, and so one thing that I would definitely say has helped me stay on schedule is to not continue and procrastinate, because you are given deadlines for example, when UCC shirts are due or planning and just things like that. So to not think, okay, I have 2 weeks for the deadline to come so I can procrastinate, really try and get a head start on everything so you don't feel like everything's piling up on you right before it's due.
That's a great point you bring up, Arav, about planning, looking out for deadlines and planning ahead of time. So thinking of sports, which is concentrated into a shorter period. So they're in 3 seasons. I'm curious who's played sports on this panel, and how did you guys manage practices, competitions, traveling for away games, and then still having schoolwork and maybe a test the next day after an away game? What are some practical ideas that you would give to 8th graders?
Yeah, so I participated in the wrestling team this year, and I've been participating in it since 7th grade, and I found that participating in it this year has been completely different to participating in it during middle school. So I think my number one piece of advice for managing your schoolwork and your team, like participating in a team, is through communication with both your coaches and your teachers. If you are feeling really stressed about one or the other, either your sport or your academics, you just have to communicate what you're feeling so that they can give you advice on what to do. Because often you see athletes and students trying to manage things themselves, and that is a really good way to gain independence. But sometimes there is an intervention needed from coaches or teachers when they are either giving you too much work or giving you a hard time for your participation. So I think communication is the biggest thing you can do to manage schoolwork and your participation in a team.
Also, something really helpful if you're taking part in a after-school sport is if you get a lot of your homework done during the day, during the WIN period, because then you have less work to do after school and you can just focus on your sports after school and your other, whatever else is going on.
And Sachi, what did you play?
I participated in badminton this year.
So we have some questions about academics and how students manage academics in the high school, which can look very different than middle school. What are the main things that you need for classes? What do they use in class? Do you computer, a notebook? What are some organization tools that you have used this year that's been really beneficial?
So it's different for every class for sure, but one main thing you need is your laptop, obviously, which is required for a lot of classes. And it depends for each class, but not every class requires a hard notebook for you to take notes, and a lot of them are online. Like, for example, GIA, almost everything is online. But for my math classes, for Algebra 2 and Geometry, you need any like notepad or a graphing notebook. So it's different for every class. And I would say instead of buying notebooks for every class and all your materials for every class, I would say go to your class on the first day and talk to your teachers, and they will tell you exactly what you need for that class and what you'll need for the year, so that you don't just have extra notebooks and stuff lying around, because it's honestly, it's unnecessary to get too many things before your class starts, because you don't know what you're going to actually need during the year.
Yeah, adding on to what Amina said, I think this question is really useful because in the beginning of freshman year, I was really confused as to what I needed for each class. So I kind of did a breakdown of all the classes I take and what I needed for it. So in English, I just needed my laptop because a notebook was provided. Biology, just a laptop, nothing else. French, laptop, and a notebook was provided for me. And for the math courses, I think most of them you need a graph paper notebook plus your calculator. History or GIA, just your laptop. PE, laptop on occasion, and band, laptop on occasion. So I think it's really just technology focused in high school. But again, like as Amina said, just go to your class the first day. The first week, they're very lenient. Like they're really supportive if you need materials. And once you get adjusted to what you need, you'll be fine. So just go to your class and just ask them what you need.
Right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on all of those different topics. I'm going to wrap up soon, but I have one last question for you guys. What is something that you wish you knew before you started high school? And what's a piece of advice that you would give to the rising 9th graders?
So there are 2 things which I wish I had known before I went into high school. The first one was don't procrastinate. It's really not worth it, because eventually, like, it's going to catch up to you. And I luckily realized that earlier in the year. But it's really important not to think that you have a lot of time, because other things will come up. And so you need to make sure that you're on top of your work. And if you ever need support, to reach out, because everyone's always willing to help. And the second thing is, don't be afraid to get involved, because there are so many awesome activities and extracurriculars that you can do. If you're interested in something, there's no reason for you not to try it. So just try everything you think you'll be interested in, because you never know what will stick. So yeah.
The one piece of advice that I'd give to upcoming freshmen, and this is a piece of advice I wish I had, which is don't beat yourself up over anything, because like we're all freshmen, we're all learning, we're all just adjusting to this new environment. And I found myself in the beginning, in the middle of the year, really beating myself up because I would see grades that I was not used to compared to middle school. But then I always had to just realize that I'm learning, I'm adjusting to this new environment, and at the end of the day, your grades always get better because you are adjusting and you get used to the environment. So I just think that if you beat yourself up, you become less productive. And I think another piece of advice I'd give is to stay on top of school. So just always, you should always reach out to teachers. You should always ask them questions. I don't think questions hurt anything or anybody. It just helps benefits you in the end. But like the one thing I'd say is just to have fun. It's your first year of high school, so you shouldn't just be only working. You should have a balance of social life, working, and participation in the community. So I just think having fun is the best piece of advice I can give.
I agree. And one of the things I wished I knew before I started high school was that it's like not as big as a transition that I thought it was going to be. And also in terms of grades, in high school it's different because at the end of the year you just have one grade for your class, where there's like a B or an A minus. So it's quite different in that sense. And also I wish I knew that that's really good if you approach your teachers if you have any questions and communicate a lot, because they're very approachable and there's so many chances you get to communicate with them. You can email them, go during 1 or 30-minute break, or even before or after school.
So there are three main things that I wish I knew, or pieces of advice. One is to take advantage of all the resources you have available to you. So similar to what Sachi said, the teachers are there to help you. They're there to give you the support that you need, and they want to help you. They just can't read your mind. So if you have any questions or you're feeling confused, you should go to them, because they're willing to help you and give you the support that you need. So definitely communicate with them and take advantage of that. And you'll find that you'll really like build connections with your teachers. The second one is don't procrastinate, because things will pile up, like Aral said, and it's not fun when things just keep getting thrown at you and you have something that was due last week. So just get your work done when you receive it. And the last one is just stay calm and know that it's going to be okay. And it's not as hard as you think it is. It's going to seem really stressful at first, but it's going to be okay. Just manage your time well and just like have fun.
The one thing I wish I knew is that you don't really need to be as stressed as you might be right now. Your teachers are there to help you. You have a whole grade of people that are going through the same thing. And your freshman year is just supposed to be fun. It's like an introduction to high school. And same thing, like my advice, two things, same thing like Samir said, don't beat yourself up if you're finding it hard to adjust. Everyone works at different paces, so don't compare yourself. You have the whole year to just get yourself on like a steady pace so that you're ready for your high school career. And also don't feel a big commitment to whatever classes that you're taking. If you're like, okay, I want to take a bunch of English classes in my high school career, but then you realize, or not English classes, like science classes, and you realize maybe this isn't the right subject for me anymore, don't feel that you're committed to it, because you have the whole 4 years to really understand and learn more about what you want for yourself.
This is all excellent advice. Thank you guys so much for your time. And my hope is that your thoughts and experiences will be beneficial to the 8th graders listening to this, whom you will have the chance to welcome in the fall, and we are looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to stop recording.
Thank you.